Well, I was told I would put on music, so I'm putting on music. Steph, I was first. First one to talk. I was first. I win. Howdy, Steph. Howdy, Sharon. Makes me feel good that I am that kind of a man that 2 women will turn in before any of the other guys. Awesome. It just doesn't get much better, does it? Does it? I mean, not to a guy's way of thinking. Hell no. In case y'all are thinking the hat is wrong, just remember I'm also wearing that shirt. James! Howdy, sir. Oh, good Lord. Whew. So anybody who was wanting to talk football, well, you missed your best chance when you didn't tune in to Raphael over at Flat Cap Piper. By the way, thank you, Raphael. Loved that show. I know that right now you've got some family issues going on, so if y'all can kind of keep Raphael's family in your thoughts and prayers as you go throughout the week, that'd be nice. And also Paul the Piper, Paul the Wrench, who decided to go and just bust himself up and his motorcycle. And well, unfortunately he busted himself up on his motorcycle, and so he's got a little bit of a broke foot and a messed up leg, and hopefully he will be very, very well soon. Yes, Stumbo, who has said yesterday, as recently as yesterday, that he's hanging out with a 5-gallon bucket of tissues because he is steadily going through them. Hopefully we find out that it was just allergies and not something actually sick. But if he is sick, let's these are some people that we need to keep on our thoughts and prayers. We love these people. Let's at least somehow show them some love. And now I realize, spread out all over creation as we are, it's kind of hard to actually go and show somebody some love that way. But I got to think that good thoughts and prayers actually do have some sort of effect on the cosmos. Maybe not my prayers, but that doesn't mean that I can't tell other people that they should maybe throw a few in for some people in need. No big deal. And I'll explain this as simply as I can. My prayers do get answered, but they always come with a cost. Every time. So I stopped praying for most things because the cost sometimes does not equal what the prayer was for. That's not to say that that's true with everybody. I'm just telling you that's what happens with me. So prayer's not wrong. It's just wrong for me. And as you've heard, I've encouraged y'all to pray. If you feel the need, go for it. I'm not picking on religion. Okay, most religion is man-made, and if you read the Bible, man-made things will fail. But if it works for you, good. It's like tobacco. If it tastes good to you, good. I mean, I'm not big on like a Connecticut cigar, for instance, because most of them just don't have any kind of strength. So I can't hardly feel it, can't hardly taste it. James is running. We know it's to the bathroom to jump in the shower because it's always in the shower. As soon as I get on, James wants to go jump in the shower for some reason. I'm not that cute, sir. We got to stop this. James, you take care. Be careful out there, wherever you're going. For anybody who thought that I was actually picking on James for that, y'all just remember I'm just sitting here having fun. Steph and Skip are probably getting their breakfast and morning coffee in so that they can be ready to run a real great show. I'm just the bridge between Raphael and his college football on Saturday morning show, which I like his show. I like his takes. And his two sons joined in. That was awesome. Well, Steph, Skip, if y'all aren't doing breakfast and coffee and getting yourselves situated, well then, you know, Miko, is that Miko or Mike or Frost Pipes? See, Skip's having his coffee. You can't have a Navy man that gets up in the morning and doesn't have a thick cup of mud. About the only Navy I like is blue or Navy strength coffee. You got to remember, I grew up with a dad that was Navy. And according to Chris Kyle, of the 2 times that I was actually close enough in proximity with him that we had any kind of a conversation. He pointed out that it was really good of me to chicken out and not join the Navy. Yeah. Well, Skip, I mean, you can't really see into the cup, but you could just have to trust me that it's about the right color for Harley Davidson motor oil. And probably just slightly less thick. Okay, so his name is Miko then. Okay, I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Miko's not feeling well. Pipe carver from Finland. All right. I'm going to need to get his channel at some point. I guess I've missed it, or I've been in the wrong spot and not seen it, or whatever. If he's got a channel. Won't hurt my feelings to get on there and every once in a while say something like, Huva ilta, Miko. Of course, he'll probably go, who the frog is this American that doesn't know a damn bit of Finnish, actually, and he's trying to be all cute about it. Oh, okay, he's only on Instagram. Your cup says, good morning, gorgeous. Well, hand it to Steph and go get your own. Well, that's the reason I didn't know where Miko was. Don't get me wrong. I would love to be able to spend all the time in the world getting on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and I don't know. Is there a pipe smoking TikTok? Probably, but I don't have as much time as I really wish I did. Too many irons in the fire, so to speak. Now, there's some weeks where I literally have just enough time to run the tailgates that I run and maybe sit down with a cup of coffee while I'm almost contemplating smoking a pipe. I mean, I get my 3 in, don't get me wrong, I get my 3 in. But sometimes I have to plan my 3 out extremely in advance. And that's pipes I'm talking about. Tiptoe, TikTok, doesn't matter. Steph, it's all about the same. I do have an Instagram account. I don't remember what the names on it is. I get on there once a month or so and look and like some pictures, and then I'm off for another month. I don't actually do Facebook. I have Facebook so that I have Facebook Messenger, because Facebook Messenger contacts people who are overseas in a nice, relatively quick manner. And being that my son's in the Air Force, I do like to talk to him. And now, I will tune into Facebook a little more often because I've got pictures of my granddaughter on Facebook. And the only reason I'm not showing you is because I haven't gotten permission from the parents to be putting their kids on my channel. Howdy, Scott. Great to see you, sir. Well, wish you could stay, and just know that we're thinking of you. Hopefully everything's well there. Mixtape, 10 songs that make us want to jam or move or something like that. I don't think I could name 10 songs. I never was good at remembering song names. I mean, I might be able to remember some of the lyrics. Some. That's why every time Steph and Skip go and do some music trivia stuff, I just sit there and laugh, knowing full well I might get one question. Now, Holly, on the other hand, she's Johnny on the spot. Rattles off all this stuff faster than I can type it out. I mean, if I could type it out as fast as she was spitting out the answer, I'd win all of these things. I just have to sit there and make sure she's playing with me. That's right. There's double entendre there. I'll get in trouble for that one if she hears it or sees it. But don't worry. I'll admit to it because I'm not afraid. I mean, there's so many off comments that I've told Holly across the years. Nothing would shock her at this point in time. She's going to be like, yeah, I'd expect him to say something like that. And Martin, try to refrain from using the ones that I've said something about this, that, or the other with Holly. She already thinks that you only use my material and nobody else's anyways, so you don't need to go that far, please. Plus, I kind of like this thing called living. There's something about breathing that really, really floats my boat, you know. Oh, I'm going to sneeze here. Yeah. That's one of those sneezes that they teach you when you're in airborne because you might be someplace you can't afford to sneeze. I didn't say special forces. Don't get me wrong. I did not say special forces. Airborne is a calling, yes, sure, but as long as you can pay attention, airborne's not really all that hard. You got to be able to lift a lot of weight because you're going to be carrying your pack and your chute, which means extra weight. But other than that, airborne is not appreciatively harder than basic training. The SEALs send their guys to do airborne school with the Army. The Air Force sends their guys to do the jumping out of airplanes portion with the Army. Yes, even those parajumpers, according to what I've heard, have to go to the Army to go get their airborne school. Here's a crazy one. Mossad sends their guys to the United States to go through the airborne school. That's the Israeli Special Forces. SEALs, the Marine Corps. I believe that there are some groups of scout sniper that go over to airborne. I don't know that for certain, so if not, then y'all can tell me no, which is fine. Now, only thing airborne school is about is the parachute, so they do fast rope on their own. It's technically insertion by helicopter. If I remember correctly, the SEALs actually got the best school for that one, but that's a different story altogether. It's mostly because they train for that crap on a regular basis. Not that I know any SEALs. I've talked to Chris Kyle before he died. I talked to Marcus Luttrell once or twice. Not that I know any Navy SEALs. Do I actually think Marcus Luttrell would remember me? Probably not. Large group of people. Steph, not a problem. Just give me a little heads up for when you want to go live, and you know, I'm just going to shovel everybody there. That's what tailgating's about, right? Hanging out with friends and family and having a good time. I mean, the only thing we're barbecuing is some tobacco. Or at least the only thing I'm barbecuing is some tobacco. Though about August, I'm also barbecuing brain cells. Nice and steamy and under these hats. Oh, by the way, Chad wasn't on last night. At least not that I could find. So if any of y'all got some pull towards prayer, keep Chad in those prayers too. He normally wouldn't miss unless he's not feeling well, so hopefully it's just something minor. And, you know, from California, it could be anything. Bad weather, some sort of forest fire that's not controlled. If you look back far enough, you can find a day when he had an orange sky. Forest black rope, I've heard, is pretty damn good for you know, the barbecue thing. There is one out there called Lord Nelson. Sutliff brand. And I'm going to tell you, it tastes like Memphis ribs. And I mean good Memphis ribs. I will warn you, though, it is tongue bitey. It's even gotten this old iron tongue bastard. I never get tongue bite. That stuff still even bites me. but I love it. Great. Man, it reminds me exactly of Rendezvous, right there in downtown Memphis. And if you've never been to a Memphis place to get ribs, I feel bad for you. They're delicious. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of places that do ribs, and some of them are exceptional. But pound for pound, I don't think any place on the planet competes rib-wise with Memphis. It's their specialty, and more power to them. I don't think any place pound for pound competes with Texas as far as brisket goes. And I'm pretty sure that that one's actually correct. It's beef. That's what Texas was designed for, really. I mean, when the Spanish released herds of cattle into various different wild portions of Texas, and they went wild and they learned how to cope with everything, and they got these, they just grow up big and huge. It's crazy. I've seen cattle in other places that I was like, man, that's kind of small. I didn't say you should think that just because they're small doesn't mean they're mean or something like that. Bodacious, probably the meanest thing ever created on God's earth. And I will look at you and tell you it was not a big bull, at least not by my standards. You put Bodacious standing shoulder to shoulder next to a Santa Gertrudis Longhorn, Bodacious looked like a small little thing. Hop up on their backs, find out. Highland cattle, aren't those the shaggy ones? They're really pretty, though. They kind of remind me of sheepdog with all the extra hair on there. I think they're the shaggy ones. Yes, long fur, yeah. Yeah, you'll never see something like that in Texas. Oh, God, they'd sweat to death in summer. You'd have to shear them down with pinking shears if you ever thought of having a long-haired cattle breed in Texas. It's either that or you just have to walk over and push them over and cut them open because they'd already be barbecued, stewed in their natural juices. Now, pretty much every place I've ever heard of, they do chicken. I can't do chicken. If you want burnt chicken on the outside and damn near raw on the inside, man, I am the man. Ugh. It does not matter what I try to do with chicken, I will screw it up. Howdy, Odie from Bourbon County. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Odie is our resident bourbonista. Actually, I guess it should be bourbonisto. What he and I don't know about bourbon is going to fill a very small pamphlet. Very small. I've told him if he ever becomes a master distiller, he needs to go ahead and get me a job. Even if nothing else, I bet you I could be a damn good electrician forever, wherever he's the master distiller. And if you think those places don't use a lot of electricity, you have never been inside one of their storage barns. They have racks and racks and racks of barrels. It's called ricks. Some of them barrel racks are 15, 16 story high. Well, if you consider each barrel to be a story. Some of them taller than that even. And just sitting there aging. You ever want to see a bourbon guy cry? Show him a picture of a bourbon aging barn that has fallen down. Ugh. Skip, I have actually wrecked beer can chicken. I don't know what it is. If it comes down to me cooking chicken or Holly cooking chicken, heck Holly. All I'm going to do is ruin your chicken. Now, if somebody else has prepared it and all I'm doing is like baking it or putting it on the grill at a certain temperature, but somebody else has already made sure everything's right, I'll muddle through. But if you expect me to do it from feathers on down to actual finished product, no. If I start the process, it's ruined. Just go ahead and kill the chicken and bury it. Give it a decent funeral. Skip, the worst Jim Beam warehouse disaster was when they sold out to China. Yes, you heard me correctly. Jim Beam is owned by China. So sad. Four Roses Limited's pretty good. I thought about trying to get some of that Jefferson on the Sea. Yeah, Skip. There's very few people out there that actually knew about that when it happened. I just happened to catch it because I've got news feeds that go straight from Bourbon County so that I could keep in touch. And I'm with Odie. It's very sad to see iconic brands. It doesn't necessarily need to even just be American brands owned by foreign countries. There's scotches that are owned by foreign companies. or countries. And it's like, Scotch should be made in Scotland, right? By actual Scottish people. The money should pretty much go to Scotland. I don't know. There's a good portion of that that goes to China too. How did you like Four Roses, Steph? We'd all like to know what your opinion was. Don't get me wrong, if I can't find wild turkey at a specific bar, they better at least have Jim Beam. But I always get tired of these places that put Jack Daniels listed under bourbon. You do better to put Crown Royal under the bourbon brands other than, I mean, you should do that way before you do Jack Daniels. Well, a good portion of bourbons are not peaty. If you want a peaty bourbon, there's one called Bone Bourbon, and it tasted like the peatiest scotch on the planet. Howdy, Martin. Glad to see you, sir. Hopefully all is well. I don't believe that okay, Steph, I could see that it might taste the way a Band-Aid smells. I could see that possibly, yeah. Uh, yeah, Coke is pretty high up there as far as an American brand. Dr. Pepper, owned and operated out of Texas. I'm fairly certain they are not selling. Getting ready for Six Flags Fright Fest. The only reason that Coors is still American is because Miller decided to buy them out. It is now called Miller Coors. You can tell which company bought who out by noting who is listed first when you say the whole name. Boris, I'll agree with you there. That whole adding extra peat is like beers adding extra hops to call it an IPA, India Pale Ale. There's no reason to make things that harshly bitter. Some people love it, but okay. Well, Steph, if I would have known, I could have sent some packages to my son via Arlo. But no, you didn't tell me until right now. You know I'm just playing. owns Miller Coors? I wouldn't doubt that they're foreign owned. Well, original Coors is still brewed only in Golden, Colorado. Oh, that's right. They were sold to Molson. Molson's Canada. And yes, InBev owns Molson. Actually, Martin, it's not the Japanese that own Jim Beam, it's the Chinese that own Jim Beam. I remember that one very well. When they sold to China, I was like, what the fuck? It was very shocking to me to see Jim Beam had sold to China. And the Japanese, I'm not sure that they actually want to buy. Japanese are the greatest Xerox machine on the planet. They will copy what works someplace else, and then they will try to improve on it. You don't believe me? Look at their cars. Take a Toyota back to the 70s. Toyota was crap. Only if you couldn't afford something from America did you buy something from Japan. My, how things have changed. Nowadays, you're practically better off buying something from Japan just because it's going to last longer. Skip, it is legal because they have formed several different little shell corporations. So that they can pass money left, right, sideways, backwards, and forwards. Well, maybe the Chinese sold to the Japanese, which could be. But my proof on some of the Japanese being good Xerox guys is Hibiki, one of the top-rated scotches on the planet. Japanese. Made in Japan. A scotch made in Japan. And somehow one of the highest rated scotches on the planet. Don't ask me. I don't know how it's technically even possible. Yes, I knew that about Basil Hayden, Knob Creek, and Maker's Mark being by Suntory. I didn't know that Jim Beam was. I remember that they were sold back in 2015. Okay, so it was like 2011 when they sold to China. So I guess China gave them up to Japan, probably for a shit pot of money. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. If a company is back there in some other country, they don't have to be under the laws of United States. Which is why, hey, you know what? You go to Saudi Arabia, you get off into those Muslim countries, and you pick up something that's not yours, even if it's by accident, they can drag you out in the city square and chop off your hand. And don't you even think about doing drugs. They will literally slit your damn throat right out there in the city square for drugs. Seen it with my own eyes. Not the kind of thing that you ever forget. And I don't even know what kind of drugs it was. All I know is that the interpreter said that guy was caught selling drugs. We should go this way. You're right, we should. Let's get the fuck out of here right now. Skip, you gotta have Bezos money before you can even think about getting InBev back to the United States. Because unfortunately, you're gonna have to buy InBev. They're out there to own all of the beverage, not just some. Oh yeah, Odie, believe me, I know. There's a little place here in Houston called Carbach. Damn good beers. Budweiser, already owned by InBev, showed up at Carbach and threw a suitcase of money at them, basically, and they said, sold. I stopped being their boiler inspector because InBev wanted to use a different insurance company. It was that simple. I've got a cat that wants him. Come on, Toby. Here you go. He's old, he's noisy, and he knows it. He gives the cicadas a run for their money. Somewhere between the Cane's $70 and everybody else on the planet would need to pony up about $70 as well. We might be able to get it back from InBev. But there's so many people who are owned by InBev that they're not going to actually go with that. maybe owned is too harsh of a word. Let's just say that their paychecks come from InBev, and they're not about to kill the golden goose. Even that goose that laid a big egg in Golden, Colorado. But let's be honest. The objective of a microbrew is to become a little bit bigger and become a local brew, and then become a little bit bigger and become a county brew, and then become a little bit bigger and become a until finally you get so big with a product that is so good that one of the big companies says, screw it, we can't compete with their product, we'll just buy them out. And then they walk in with a big-ass suitcase full of money, and they talk to the ownership, and they say enough of the right words, and somebody's going to sell out. Well, Texas still has several breweries that I know of that are still independent. Of course, they're all really small. Eighth Wonder. There's a whole lot in between Houston and San Antonio. One of the biggest ones is called Shiner, Texas. Still proudly owned and operated by the folks in Shiner, Texas. At one point in time, Budweiser tried to buy them. That didn't happen. At another point in time, Miller Coors tried to buy them. That didn't happen. They said, it's family, it's going to stay family, and y'all can go away. Pretty cool of them. Oh, there are a crap ton of whiskey distilleries in Texas. Once they finally released the rules about bourbon having to be made in Bourbon County, Texas broke in with about 7 different brands of bourbon. Just all of a sudden, just bam, here it is. We're going all over the place. Samuel Adams I like. Yingling, could care less about. It tastes like stale Ziegenbach. Not that it's flat, but it tastes like Ziegenbach if you took Ziegenbach and you left it in the can for about 2 years. Oh, don't get me wrong, I've actually been to the Sam Adams Brewery. Even before they got as big as they are now. Because back in 2004, when I was out in that area, I was like, cool, local brewery. I'm going to go. Of course I went. It might have been 2005. It was 2004, 2005, in that area. No big deal. Well, Boris, there is a vodka that rates very highly out of Austin, Texas, known as Tito's. If you happen to like vodka. And there is a brand of bourbon up in around Waco, Texas, and one of their things is that they only use blue corn in their mix. Yes, Paul, we know. Been thinking about you, brother. For anybody who wasn't there for the previous show, y'all remember Paul wrecked his bike and wrecked his leg and wrecked his foot. We're hoping that you get well and back on your feet soon, sir. Odie, that's very true with most beverages. If you're going to spend money and make it a higher quality product by using higher quality ingredients, you're probably going to taste it, at least on the back end of it. Okay, Steph and Skip are giving me the 3-minute timer, so therefore probably 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Come on. You don't want to piss Glenn off and say that hopping around is only for kangaroos and rabbits. Just saying. And I'm with Odie. Keep your feet up, 4 pipes a day, minimum. But don't call me in the morning, because your morning is probably the middle of the night for me. So, just saying. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, yes, all remember we're about to go over to Steph and Skip Kane. B, there's a lot of need out there for some prayers and good thoughts and well wishes. Recent show that you might want to tune into is on Monday, Let My Cameron Go. He's got a pretty big list, and if you need to get in for some prayer, you might want to let him know. Decent show. I kind of like it. And let's see. Well, being that I'm down to 45 seconds right now. Y'all remember, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Let's do the best we can on that. And as per always, long lives, big bowls, and long ashes. And Steve and Kathy, howdy, sir. Great to have you in right at the ending, but we will be going over to Steph and Skip's here in just a minute, and we'd love to have you there too. And if you're going to pray that COVID is dead soon. Needless to say, I'm going to talk to y'all later, because I'm going to go party with Steph and Skip for a little bit. Catch you soon. Bye for now.